Alright, the next move has been played. Let's give it a look. Interesting. So he's spent this turn not killing my crystals. He's dealt with my spy. It almost feels like he's trying to develop the board more. Whether that means he's abandoning his crystal rush, doubtful that he's giving up on that. But that was an interesting choice. And frankly, I don't have any easy options here. I have a lot of decent options, and then I have one that I think has some downsides, but is fairly safe and positive. And so what I think I'm going to do here is, instead of explaining my logic and breaking it down, I'm going to go through a bunch of the moves that I looked at in order, and I'm going to sneak in the one that I think is the best, and you can figure out which move you think is the best option, and you can see whether you agree with my decision in the end or not. So here it goes. Here's a chain of moves that I considered for this. Follow along at home. See which one you like. Let's move one. Let's move two. Let's move three. Let's move four. Let's move five. I think that's enough. So, you can pause the video at the end point of each of those moves and figure out which one you think is the best. And I will let you know my decision in 3, 2, 1. All right. I think that move 3 is the best. And that one was this move. I think this is the best move out of them. And I'll kind of go through the downsides of the other moves. And really, the downside for the other moves is very similar for all of them. Although this one was my favorite. When I came up with this one, I was like, wow, this one is a little interesting. This one's cool because it kind of sets up for the Pyro to come here and grab both of these guys. And it takes actually 2 AP to deal with this soldier because he's got 510 HP. But I saw a move where he could basically hit this guy twice, go here and here, and then hit the crystal once. And it would be difficult to deal with that response. So I kind of ruled this move out. And then looking at this play here, if I put the scout on the tile here, oops, I didn't respawn my spy there. I definitely want to respawn my spy. one thing I considered was deploying the spy here, and the reason that is if he ever leaves a unit on this gem tile here, then I can go 1, 2, 3, attack, and then stomp, and that basically makes it really hard for him to sit on that gem tile. And that's not a bad option, in my opinion. I don't think it's wrong necessarily, but it does lead to a situation where he can play a move like hit the scout, move, and hit this crystal twice, and that crystal shot is going to do well, it's going to do 200 base. It's going to do 700. It's the first one's going to do 800 damage, and the second one's going to do 700. So it's 1500 damage. So it's basically, that would do a third of the life of that crystal off the top. And I would have some other options to follow up from there, but I think that's I'm very scared of the late game of a late game that involves me trying to defend like really low HP crystals. The best way to defend a crystal rush is to not allow him to attack your crystals in the first place. And the only move that really guarantees that he's not going to be able to take my crystals any further is this. And that's because even though I have to waste the sandwich here, which stinks, let's be real, it stinks, this prevents him from grabbing the gem tile and doing damage to this soldier. And really, I'm just trying to buy time. It also sets up an issue where he's got to move these axe throwers, otherwise I can send this other pyro up here. But really, the axe throwers are my biggest concern, because they are going to do an extra 200 damage base to the crystal while it's at high HP. So if I can get through the axe throwers without losing most of my guys, I'm going to feel really happy. And he does have options to he does have options to take my soldier out. That is true. But he can't take the soldier out for free without trading. And trading for me is really good. And if he's taking the soldier out, then he's not taking my crystals out. And the safer I get down the road. Although as I consider this move, I started to like that this move here where I deployed the spy. Yeah, I started to like that move a little bit more. But then I have to start worrying about the chieftain. Like, what if he tidal waves my soldier up and then like uses it as a boost? Yeah, it's pretty questionable. So I think I'm just going to stick with plan A here. Save my crystals. If this game goes, if somehow, like, I really want this game to go long. I want this game to go long, even if I have to give up a bunch of units, and even if I leave him with a lot of consumables left in the late game. The longer this game goes, the better it is for me. Because if I have both medics alive in the late game against a depleted tribe force, it's just hugely beneficial to Team Fortress, because if you get like one range 3 unit linked up with the medic and have it start running around like crazy, it's almost unstoppable as far as the amount of offensive damage that you can, or the offensive value you can get out of a single unit. So my late game is okay, especially if I get rid of the axe throwers and I get rid of that last chieftain if I have to use the Gerati or whatever it ends up being. You end up not being too scared of witches because you have your spies to buffer for you, and you have your heavies, the guys that'll just kind of get in the way and make witches very difficult to deal with. And he's only got 2 axe throwers left, and one of them's wounded and likely to be traded away next turn. So I might be close to weathering the storm. This chieftain's a little scary though, especially if he gets up in here and is able to kind of finish off a lot of these wounded units. But he doesn't actually have the option to come up and explode that soldier, and that is because, if you recall, a few turns ago, remember how I healed that demo man up to 130 HP instead of 100 because I did the medic healing in the correct order, so that the upgraded medic revived that demo man instead of the normal medic? Well, turns out that's actually going to make a difference here, because he could come up here and here and then hit the soldier twice, and the second corpse explosion would go off, and that corpse explosion is only going to do 100 damage. And if I had healed the demo man in the wrong order, that would actually KO the demo man. But now it's only going to leave it at 30 HP, so it's still going to be alive, while the engineer is at 140, so he's not at risk either way. But it's the little things. One unit here or there can be the difference between winning and losing. Anyway, I'm satisfied that I've done all I can with this turn so far, so let's see how it goes.